asking myself this question every morning and every night when I go to sleep, and then every morning again. Why is it that they don't understand that there will be no healing process in Israel before the hostages are back? There will be no healing process in the region before then there will be an agreement to end the war in Gaza. And the only thing that will happen is that we will live again October 7th on daily basis. This is this, my sister is a professor of psychology, and she works in the hostage headquarters. She, in my family, like in Jewish families, they send the bright ones to study and the stupid ones to work. So I went to work and she went to study, and and um, and she's telling me we don't even scratch the psychological effect on the people of Israel of the fact that our children are still there and the war is still going on. So why is it that our government is not willing to take the extra effort and finish this is beyond my comprehension.
Thank you. The view is really clear from when we were there, even though for a short time. A lot of the Israeli people, the general public, are quite tired of the situation, and they do want this to end. A lot of them have real sympathy for the plight of the people in Gaza, including some of the hostage families that we met who were worried about the women, the mothers in Gaza, and they've seen them struggling without food, without aid, without medical supplies. So there is a feeling in the Israeli public that this has gone on for too long. But the members of the Knesset that we met when we were there were unwilling to even see that point of view, and they were solidified in their mindset. How is the Israeli leadership, the politicians of the day, going to meet where their public are? Because there's no point with the general public protesting or speaking up if those in power aren't shifting anything. How do they get to a different point in this stage?
Well, you since you missed your bus, you missed the part when I was saying.
Didn't miss her bus. Her bus was slow.
The train.
So the thing is, so you missed the part that I said I'm not going to defend the government. And again, it's beyond my comprehension. Why is it they do not understand? And you know what? Why is it when talking to lawmakers from other countries, they don't show sympathy? Why is it that they don't feel it? This is the worst interpretation of Jewish morality. This is the worst interpretation of what is your duty as leadership. And I'm not going to spend my time or yours defending something I deeply believe is hazardous to the soul of my country. This is not what this country is all about. I mean, this is not why my father came here from the Holocaust to build a nation, and this is not why people fight wars, not to become a heartless country. We are a country with a heart in a difficult situation, surrounded by bitter but terrible enemies, fighting the worst kind of terror on daily basis. But this doesn't justify becoming like them. This only comes to emphasize the necessity and the duty to be different. And not everybody in our government remembered this.
Can I ask you a question about your plan? Just because I think probably we ought to, for the sake of completeness, just put this aspect as well. I mean, the Egyptians don't agree with it, do they? Which is a big problem.
Well, it depends. When I was in Washington discussing this, I said to them, you have to understand, because we know the Egyptians pretty well. The first thing they're going to say is no. And then they're going to discuss it. This is, we've been working with them. One of the, it's an encouraging thought that wars come and go in the Middle East. But if you're looking at this, agreements survive. We have a peace agreement with the Egyptians for 50 years now, and with the Jordanians for almost 40. And the Abraham Accords that everybody thought were really, really fragile has lasted the last 2 years of what happened in Gaza. So the agreements we are signing has seemed to be more solid than the fighting that came before them. And I think we know how to close a deal, especially if it takes into consideration the internal problems that preoccupies Egypt and the Egyptian leadership. And besides, and people needs to remember, and I reminded the Egyptians that the reconstruction and rebuilding, rehabilitating of Gaza is going to be the second largest economical project in the Middle East after the rebuilding, reconstruction, and rehabilitating of Syria. So it's big business. It's the right thing to do. It's bringing them back to the position they always had, which is the most important Arabic country. It has so many advantages to Egypt that I believe we can find a way. And you know what? It doesn't even contradict. And on this, the Egyptians agreed with. It doesn't contradict the plan that the Egyptians themselves has presented in the Arab League last 2 Arab League meetings, because it's going to be some sort of an interim stage towards the plan they have presented.
What you mean is the plan that the rest of the world believes is the way forward, which is two
the
states.
rest of the Arab world.
Yeah, but they also want 2 states.
Well, as I said, we don't want to. Listen, there was a funny. It was funny to me. I don't know if you're going to find it funny. Before the conference in Saudi Arabia, when President Trump went to Riyadh and everybody was invited but us, and somebody asked me about this, and I said, this is weird. This is because the only thing the Saudis wanted was that Netanyahu will say something about the possibility of somewhere down the road in the far future, if all Palestinians will converted to Judaism and become blonde, then we will agree to a 2-state solution. And he refused. And I've said on Israeli television that this was the very first time ever that everybody was asking Benjamin Netanyahu to lie, and he refused. So, yes, eventually I want peace with the Palestinians. And this shouldn't be off the table ever, because this is what I want for my children. And not being able even to say it out loud is just not only ridiculous but also cowardly. This is not going to happen.